think what I have got another resource is that you also act as a consultant at the PRT member of SAQS for ICFI Business School. Am I right,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah.
That's a very good, sir. And ICFI Business School is a very good, reputed school having internationally accreditations.
Yeah, yes, is accredited.
Yes, yes. It's a very, very good institute and very reputed throughout the world. And it's an honor for all of us that such like a personality who has worked in so many of reputed organizations and now as a pro vice chancellor is a very good position for any university. It's a very remarkable position, and such personality has joined us and inspired us, all of us, in this workshops today's. I think Gauravji, today's topic is for emotional intelligence in classroom teaching, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Very unique topic.
Very unique topic.
And we all have to talk on this.
Yes,
all
sir.
have to
We
discuss on
need
this.
blessings and your experience in emotional intelligence in classroom teaching. That's very touching and unique topic. And we need blessings and guidance from your side so that whatever the topic, unique topics chosen by IHM, that should be fulfilled, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So now I request to our today resource person, Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam, to kindly take your session for the and share your remarkable information and the knowledge with all the participants.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. Honorable Dr. Ashwani Shetty, respected Dean, Chef Gaurav Karwana, Institute of Hotel Management, Guru Kashi University, Punjab, Mr. Jatin Sharma, distinguished colleagues and participants, good morning. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome you to this webinar on emotional intelligence in classroom teaching, which has been organized by Institute of Hotel Management, Guru Kashi University, India. I wish to extend my deep appreciation to the Institute Authority for inviting me to share the thoughts of emotional intelligence in classroom teaching with the esteemed faculty members of the Institute and other institutes. I want to particularly thank the Dean of Institute of Hotel Management, Chef Gaurav Khurana, India, for inviting me to this international faculty development program. I am delighted to welcome all the distinguished colleagues of Institute of Hotel Management and other universities who are attending this lecture on emotional intelligence and classroom teaching. I also thank and welcome other participants who will share their knowledge and experience with the faculty members and ensure an outcome that is grounded in the concrete realities of increasing the effectiveness in teaching learning process at the tertiary level of education. Dear colleagues, no aspect of education has been more investigated than that of teaching effectiveness in the world. During last 50 years, thousands of research studies have attacked the phenomena through teachers' personality and characteristics, teaching methods, students' understanding and growth, and classroom interactions with its many facets of social and emotional climate, group influence, leadership behavior, verbal behavior, and teaching techniques and strategies. Therefore, effectiveness in teaching and classroom efficiency is an important aspect of every teacher. Without the efficiency and effectiveness of teaching, a teacher cannot make the class outcome-based and cannot be accepted by the learners. Hence, for making classroom teaching effective, emotional intelligence is an important aspect of teaching learning process. today, what I will discuss under this topic, we shall discuss in a nutshell, who is a good teacher, what are the main purposes of teaching. We shall discuss the domains of learning, cognitive domain, affective domain, psychomotor domain. We shall discuss the concept of emotional intelligence and where is the place of emotional intelligence in learning. We shall discuss 6 attributes of emotional intelligence in cognitive domain, teaching with emotional intelligence. We shall see application of emotional intelligence in classroom teaching, how to develop a higher sense of emotional intelligence, and why is emotional intelligence important for teachers. Dear colleagues, you know, for perfect teacher, 3 things are important. He or she must be an expert of the subject. He must be able to teach and learn in teaching learning method, and he must be able to use those methods correctly. And the third one is the emotional intelligence, which is often neglected by the teacher. If we look at the signs of a good teacher, we shall see good teachers have got higher level training. They maintain the balance between lecturing and listening. They are the leaders in classroom, skilled leaders. They are able to engage their students in learning in classroom. Their students remain a top priority. They can give the sense of fairness to their students in evaluation, and they let their passions through their lessons. If we see that what are the purposes of teaching, the first purpose is to facilitate the learning process for the learners so that they can learn easily and they can learn faster, they can learn better. This is the main purpose of teaching, facilitate the learning process of learners. Now, if you look at what is learning, all of you know that learning is nothing but the permanent change in the behavior of our learners that results from experience. Psychology of learning focuses on a range of topics related to how people learn and interact with their environments. Psychologist John B. Watson suggested that all behaviors are a result of the learning process, and he identified 3 major types of behavioral learning: classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and behavioral learning. He mentioned that classical conditioning learning is a neutral stimulus, is associated with a natural response in a learner. And operant conditioning is response is changed due to reinforcement, and behavioral occurs through observation and imitation of others. So these 3 types of learnings are occurred in classroom. So learning has got 3 domains, as I mentioned from the beginning of my lecture, that it has got cognitive domain, that is the thinking part. It has got emotional domain, that is the feeling part, and it has got behavioral domain, that is the acting part or doing part, thinking, feeling, and doing. In our teaching, we need to stimulate thinking among the learners through our lectures, through our delivery. In our lecture, we need to make our learners feel that yes, the topic or the idea we are discussing is important for them and they feel it. So that is another domain of learning. And thirdly, we need to engage them in practice. So practice makes a man perfect. So if they practice, if we exercise cases, and if we use labs and other things, then they will learn better. So the domains of learning is thinking, feeling, and doing. And perhaps we focus most on thinking part. We deliver lecture and students learn from our lecture, but it is only one part, cognitive part. There is also emotional part, there is also behavioral or doing part. If we go in depth with this cognitive domain, all of you know that Benjamin Bloom's identified 6 levels of cognitive domain: memorizing, understanding, analyzing, applying, evaluating, and creating. And Bloom mentioned that memorizing, understanding, analyzing, these 3 we need to emphasize at the primary and secondary level. And other 3, applying, evaluating, and creating, these 3 we must emphasize at the tertiary level of education. Now you know that memorizing, retrieving relevant knowledge from long-term memory. That means how quickly a person recall the past. That's the capability. And in our teaching learning process, in our teaching, we must teach how to memorize, how to keep the things in mind. Then another domain or skill is, cognitive domain skill is the understanding. Determining the meaning of instructional messages, including oral, written, and graphical communication. This is intellectual abilities and skills are required to understand. So we need to make the topic understand to our learner. And the third level is the analyzing. That means breaking material into its constituent parts and detecting how the parts relate to one another and to an overall structure or purpose. Analyze. For example, we can ask question like distinguish between the cognitive domain and affective domain. So this question is analytical type question. Application or applying, another level of cognitive domain, applying a skill, that is carrying out or using a procedure in a given situation. Evaluating, making judgments based on criteria and standards. And creating, putting elements together to form a novel, coherent whole or make an original product. So these are 6 levels identified by Bloom's under cognitive domain, and which is one of the domains of learning. Let us see the affective domain, or in other words, you can say feeling segment of learning. It has got again 5 levels of this domain: receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterizing. Now, receiving is the lowest level of affective domain. In other words, you can say feeling or emotional domain. Simply the awareness of feelings and emotions of the learners is just called receiving level of affective domain. Then a more advanced is the responding level, actively participating in the learning process. Learner actively participates in the learning process, not only aware of a stimulus, but also react or respond to it. And the third one is the valuing, ability to see the worth of something and expressing it by the learners. Fourth one is more organized, organizing, putting together different values, information, and ideas, then relate them to already held beliefs to bring it into an internally consistent philosophy. And the highest level is the characterizing of affective domain, act consistently according to internalized values. So if you look at the different levels of affective domain from the lowest to highest, you will see learners receive, respond, value, organize, and characterize. And our target is to characterizing the ideas in them. That means that kind of skill we need to develop so that our learners will be able to act consistently according to internalized values. If you look at the psychomotor domain, the third one of learning, it has got 4 levels, such as active mental attention of a physical event. At this level, the learner was as a more experienced person, attempted copying of a physical behavior. At this level, learner is observed by the instructor and given direction and feedback on performance. Trying a specific physical activity over and over. At this level, the skill is repeated over and over. And the fourth one is the fine tuning. That means making minor adjustments in the physical activity in order to perfect it. At this level, skill is perfected. So these are again 4 levels of psychomotor domain of learning. Now we need to see where is the place of emotional intelligence in learning. We identified 4 domains of learning: cognitive domain, that is thinking domain; feeling, affective domain, feeling domain; and psychomotor domain, that means doing segment, doing domain. Now we shall see where is the place of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is in the affective domain of learning. It is in the affective part. It is concerned with the emotion. It is concerned with emotional intelligence. It is concerned with the adjustment in diversified situation. It is concerned with the control of emotion. So it is the ability to identify, evaluate, control, and express one's emotions. The benefits of having emotional intelligence include: it increases self-awareness, increases stress management, higher motivation, empathy, and compassion for others. Emotional intelligence covers 4 elements. That means emotional intelligence, literally said by Daniel Goleman, that there are 5 components of emotional intelligence, such as self-awareness, self-monitoring, self-motivation, empathy, and social skills. Self-awareness means the person knows his strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats well, and he acts accordingly. That is self-monitoring. He is self-driven person, self-motivated. He cares others' opinion. That is empathy. And he can adjust himself in a diversified situation in the society. That is relationships or social skills. It is, of course, important for good communication with others, and is therefore a gateway, a better learning, friendships, academic success, and employment as well. Now we shall see what is emotional intelligence. Aristotle says that anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and is not easy. Daniel Goleman said that we are being judged by new yardstick, not just how smart we are or by our training and expertise, but also how well we handle ourselves and each other. And that is emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman also mentioned few things in his emotional intelligence theory. He said that in a very real sense, we have 2 minds, one that thinks and one that feels. So everybody has got 2 minds. One mind that can think, another mind that can feel. The emotional brain responds to an event more quickly than the thinking brain. That means the mind, that means feeling mind, responds quickly than the thinking mind. And our life is a comedy for those who think and tragedy for those who feel. So the people who feel more, life is a tragedy for them. People who think more or focuses more on thinking mind, their life is a comedy. Feelings are self-justifying without logic. with a set of perceptions and proofs all their own, which are highly intuitive in nature. Out of control emotions can make smart people stupid. People tend to become more emotional intelligent as they age and mature. So you know also IQ is the strongest predictor of which field you can get into and hold a job in, whether you can be an accountant, lawyer or nurse, for example, but emotional intelligence can help you to go to the top of the success ladder. We know intelligent quotient, and it was traditionally thought that the person who has got higher level of IQ, he has got the chance to become successful. But the research shows that it is not IQ, it is the EQ that can help to become successful. IQ can help to enter into the job, to continue with the job, or to continue with the work. But EQ, emotional quotient, or EI, emotional intelligence, can help us to go to the top, help us to become successful. Emotional intelligence. Stephen Hawking said that it is the ability to adapt to change. That means adapting capability. This concept appeared in psychology in 1960s, but it is popularized by Daniel Goleman in 1995. And it assists knowing one's internal states, preferences, resources, and intuitions. Goleman also viewed that emotional intelligence or emotional quotient as a driver for leadership performance. That means it is also concerned with leadership. Leader also must have this emotional intelligence. As I already mentioned, that emotional intelligence has got 5 components: self-awareness, self-regulation and management, self-motivation, empathy, and social skill. Now we shall see the details of these attributes. 6 attributes of emotional intelligence in cognitive domain of learning. Self-awareness, how this is built in cognitive domain. This is the ability to recognize and understand one's mood, motivations, and abilities. That's the ability. It is in cognitive domain, self-awareness, ability to recognize and understand one's moods, motivations, emotions, and abilities. Self-regulation, this is the ability to control one's impulses, the ability to think before you speak or react, and the ability to express yourselves appropriately. That is regulation. That means you know how to control yourself. You can think before you act. Motivation, self-motivation, this is having an interest in learning and self-improvement. It is having the strength to keep going when there are obstacles in life. That means inner feeling, inner drive, inner motivation. Empathy, this is the ability to understand other people's emotions and reactions. It can be said as the ability to put yourself in the other's shoes. You can see from the eyes of others. Empathy can only be achieved if self-awareness is achieved. If you do not understand yourself, you will not understand the emotions of others. And the social skills, this is the ability to pick up on jokes, customer service, maintaining friendships and relationships, and finding common ground with others. So these are 6 attributes of emotional intelligence, which are in cognitive domain of learning. So as faculty, we need to recognize this, and we need to capitalize this, and we need to use this in our teaching learning process and teaching. Now, emotion and self-awareness. Emotions are complex psychological states that involves 3 distinct components: subjective experience, physiological response, and behavioral expressive response. Subjective experience is one component of emotion. Physiological response, that is physical response, and behavioral response or expressive. So life is an emotional experience, so assessing it is very important. There are 3,000 plus words that describe emotions of human beings. Among these 3,000 words, 1,051 words describe positive emotions and 2,086 words describe negative emotions. You see, the negative emotion related words are almost double. But if we can make the negative words into positive words, then perhaps we will have higher level of emotional intelligence. Emotions are action signals, has hidden message. All emotions are called for action. That means actions are behind the emotion. If someone shows emotion, then it demands a kind of action. So when you can control emotions, you are emotional intelligence, and that is called emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. Emotion and self-awareness. Emotional self-awareness is the ability to understand your own emotions and their effects on your performance on others. Understanding our own emotion and what is the impact on this emotion on others. First and most significant step of becoming emotionally intelligent and knowing thyself, organizing your own emotion, thoughts and values, and understand how it impacts you, your performance, and impacts others. You sense how others see you, and so align your self-image with a larger reality. So high self-awareness equals high self-confidence. That means higher level of emotional intelligence. Emotion and self-regulation. You are always responsible for how you act, no matter how you feel. Remember that. Your ability to control disruptive emotions and moods is self-regulation. It assists managers to practice think before act, can help managers to think before starting acting. Individuals with high self-regulation are considered trustworthy, work with integrity, and take up challenges comfortably. And the emotional regulation disorder is often manifested by symptoms such as sudden and unexplained anger outbursts that gets displaced to someone who did not cause any harm. Emotional self-motivation. If you are motivated, you are probably optimistic no matter what's thrown at you. Self-motivation is the force that keeps pursuing us to go on. And it is our internal drive to achieve, produce, develop, and keep moving forward. Self-motivation includes our personal drive to improve and achieve, commitment to our goals, initiative, or readiness to act on opportunities. Self-motivation use self-control to channel emotions toward achievement of goals. It is a passion to work for reasons that go beyond money or status. Pursue goals with energy and persistence, optimism even in the face of failure, and hopeful and find something good. Emotion and empathy. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, what I already mentioned. Seeing with the ears of another and feeling with the heart of another. Emotional empathy is when you quite literally feel the other person's emotions alongside them as if you had caught the emotion. Understanding the emotional perspective of other people, that is empathy. There is a little difference between sympathy and empathy. Empathy is understanding the feelings of another person, and sympathy is feeling pity for others. Sympathy, for example, I am sorry that happened to you. Empathy, I see your pain and I understand. Compassion, how do need me to help. Three types of empathy. There are three types of empathy: affective empathy, somatic empathy, cognitive empathy. Three types of empathy we can divide. Affective empathy involves the ability to understand another person's emotions. Somatic empathy involves having a sort of physical reaction in response to what someone else is experiencing. And the cognitive empathy is the ability to understand another person's mental state. Emotional social skills. Social skills means communication skills, collaboration and cooperation, and building rapport can help improving social skills. Being able to interact well with others, ability to manage relationships and build networks with others, ability to find common ground and build rapport, ability to resolve conflict, expertise in leading others and effective in leading change. It allows people to build meaningful relationships with other people and develop a stronger understanding of themselves and others. That is social skill. Now, dear colleagues, we shall see how this emotional intelligence is applied in classroom teaching. What are the issues related to classroom teaching and management? Number one, teacher's authority and leadership. That means there is a legitimate authority, reward authority, coercive authority, and expert authority that has got this by the teacher. Rules and procedures are there in class. Motivation of the students are important in class. Physical environment of the classroom is also very important. Time management of faculty. Lesson management by providing clear objectives. Witness means refers to a teacher's ability to be aware of what is happening in all parts of the classroom. Overlapping during lesson presentation and group focus. These are the issues related to classroom. Now, teaching with self-awareness. We can ask ourselves, what are our primary concerns in the classroom? Are we constantly involved in power struggles with some students? Do we desire for good relationships with all our students? Are we stressed out? These are the questions we can ask. For self-awareness in teaching. One can teach by knowing his style, by playing in his strengths, knowing his drivers, that is unconscious responses to messages we picked up in early childhood, and being aware of verbal and non-verbal communication. There are 5 key questions to increase teacher's self-awareness. Like, am I taking proactive steps to identify and resolve my own emotional causes? Am I paying attention to what I need to pay attention to as a faculty? Am I using effective strategies to reduce burnout and nurture my own mental health? Am I using an appropriate sense of humor to build relationships, reduce conflict, engage learners, and manage my own stress? Do I regularly acknowledge significant ways and others are making a difference in the lives of students? The second point is, second component of emotional intelligence is that self-regulation. So how this is connected with teaching? Building relationships with the students, building trust between teacher and student, establishing a structure in the classroom, and clear oral and written communication are considered important in self-regulation aspect of teaching. Benefits of emotional intelligence included better relationships with students, higher levels of student engagement. That is the main issue now, hot topic today, and more trusting relationships. However, students' home lives and limited training for emotional intelligence also can create barriers in this regards. How teaching is connected with self-motivation. Self-motivation is, in its simplest form, the force that drives you to do the things. People can be motivated by many things, both internal or external, such as desire to do something, love of someone, or need for money. Usually, motivation is a result of several factors. Daniel Goleman identified 4 elements that make up motivation, such as personal drive to achieve, that means the desire to improve or to meet certain standards, commitment to personal or organizational goals, initiative, which is defined as readiness to act on opportunities, whether we are ready or not, optimism, the ability to keep going and pursue goals in the face of setbacks. This is also known as resilience. Empathy and teaching. Empathetic teacher model it. That means your students are watching you even when you think they are not. Try to communicate empathy. An empathetic teacher uses teachable moments in classes to explain how one student or even a character in a story might be feeling during a certain situation. This will get your students thinking about things from perspectives of others. Emphasize shared values and common interests rather than highlighting how your learners are different. Help them to recognize things they may have in common with one another. This includes things like hobbies and interests, or even just a shared desire to go to do good in job class. Offer a safe environment to discuss differences. You can give your students ample opportunity to respectfully discuss their differences within the context of classroom discussions. This allows students to recognize that having differences is not bad, but it leads them toward a healthy respect for the opinions and perspectives of others. You can use self-disclosure. That means when appropriate, share stories or examples about your own life to connect to students on a more personal level. An empathetic teacher is, after all, a human one. Create opportunities for collaboration, whether through group projects or teams during games. Allow students to work together and force bonds through their motivation to win or lose in an activity. Now, teaching and social skill. Social intelligence is the ability to successfully build relationships that I already mentioned and navigate social environments. Daniel Goleman identified 9 ways and argues you can improve your social intelligence by using these 9 ways. The proto-conversion, social awareness and social facility. That means know how to have smooth and effective interactions. Your social triggers. Think of a time when you felt drained and defeated after an interaction. Your secure base. This is a place, ritual, or activity that helps us process emotions and occurrences. Broken bonds, lack of empathy. Positively infectious. When someone smiles at us, it's very hard not to smile back. Adapt to adapt. He said sometimes you should let yourself adapt their emotions. Put yourself exactly where they are. Beware the dark triad. Dark triad of people are the narcissistic or egoistic personality. That means Machiavellianism personality, and the psychopath or antisocial personality. Mind blind. Can you usually guess what someone is about to say? Are you good at predicting people's behavior? Do you think you are intuitive? If you answered yes to these questions, you probably have high mindset and higher level of social awareness. And a people prescription. That means Goleman's prescription for a long, healthy, happy life is positive relationships. So based on the discussions we made so far, we can say that emotional intelligence is an important and essential element for the success in our classroom teaching. Now the question is, why is emotional intelligence critical for teaching? Because teaching requires constant interaction with students and hence a continuous interplay of emotions. It is now recognized that emotions serve as a powerful vehicle for enhancing or inhibiting learning. Negative emotions can reduce working memory, the memory system used for holding and manipulating information while various mental tasks are carried out. And effective and successful teachers are mainly those who can handle negative feelings in a healthy way. So who is a good teacher then? Good teaching is 1/4 preparation and 3/4 theater. That means classroom. So the emotional intelligence in classroom is very, very important for being a good teacher. Great teachers emphasize with kids, respect them, and believe that each one has something special that can be built upon. Studies show that those individuals with high sense of emotional intelligence tend to succeed. So how to develop a higher sense of emotional intelligence? Become emotionally literate. That means label your feelings rather than people or situations. Say I feel instead of I know. Distinguish between thoughts and feelings. Take more responsibility for your feelings. Use your feelings to help make decisions. Use feelings to set and achieve goals. Feel energized, not angry. Validate other people's feelings. Use feelings to help show respect for others. Don't advise, command, control, criticize, or judge, or lecture to others. Avoid people who invalidate you. So these are the different ways one can develop by you following, one can develop a higher sense of emotional intelligence. So finally, we can say that if our emotional abilities are not in hand, if we do not have self-awareness, if we are not able to manage our stressing emotions, if we cannot have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart we are not going to get very far. Dear colleagues, as we know, it is not the smartest people who are the most successful or the most fulfilled in life. You probably know people who are academically brilliant and now unsuccessful at work or in their personal relationships. Their intellectual ability or intelligence quotient or emotional intelligence is not enough on its own to achieve success in their lives. Higher level of IQ, intelligent quotient, can help someone to get into college or to start a good job, as I've already mentioned. But it is the EQ, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, that helps someone to manage his or her stresses and emotions when he or she faces problems at work. Therefore, both IQ and EQ or EI are important for being effective at work. IQ and EQ exist in tandem and are most effective when they build off one another. So the success is the function of IQ and EQ, not only IQ. Distinguished participants, you are all leaders, mentors, advisors, motivators in the teaching learning process, in classroom teaching, and I am fully confident that your knowledge, experience, and expertise will provide important insights on understanding and managing emotions of the learners and emotions of yourselves. I would like to conclude by again thanking the Institute of Hotel Management Authority of Guru Kashi University, who has honored me, in particular, Chef Gaurav Corona, Dean Institute of Hotel Management, by inviting me for this webinar on emotional intelligence in classroom teaching. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. So this is my humble request to all the participants. Now the session is open for your doubts and queries. So if you have any doubts and any query regarding this session, so you may please ask from the Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam. So I want to say something like from the Monday, from the last Monday when we start our international faculty development program. So I feel I am in the ocean of knowledge, and on each and every day we have meet with the great leaders and great thinkers and learn so many things. In the today session, we have learned about the emotional intelligence. That is the most important topic in the present year, and how we have used that emotional intelligence in classroom teaching. And I learned so many things from the today's sessions. And thank you so much, sir, for your profound and informative information for us. And you have spared time for us. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam. And now I request to our Dean and Dean in charge, Chef Gaurav Khurana. So,
Jitin
yes, sir.
Sharma, I would like to have a comment from Dr. Ashwani Sethi.
Yes, yes, sir.
Because I could not understand whether those are really important staff for the faculty members. Also, all of here present are colleagues and university teachers. I am sure that they have their own thinking and feeling and doing. So, Professor Ashwani, if you just pass a comment.
Maybe he's not here. He's out of the meeting.
Okay, okay, then okay.
So, I request to our Dean in charge, Chef Gaurav Khurana, kindly give a vote of thanks to our today's resource person, Professor Dr. Nazrul Islam.
Right. First of all, sir, thank you so much for being here with us. This quote suits you very much. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So today you shows us the way of emotional intelligence. So I would like to thank you, sir. As emotional intelligence is of great importance as far as our teachers' profession is concerned. So we can put our feet in the student's shoes at times to know root causes of a problem a student is facing. The session has opened a new dimension of teaching of all of us, sir. Thank you really, sir. And really the topic which you choose, sir, it is very important to talk on it. With this being I said, I really thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Nazrul Islam, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor for taking out this valuable time for us. And from your, obviously your busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. And we would love to have such sessions with you in future. And at last, I request all the faculty members from either Guru Kashi University or either from the different university or research scholars, kindly work on that 3 domains of which learning path. First is think. We have to think first before we have to feel or act. Then we have to feel, and at last we have to act. With this, I would like to thank Dr. Virender Singh Rana, Dean, City University, to introduce us with the great personality, Dr. Nazrul Islam. And I would like to thank Dr. Ashwani Sethi to introduce our resource person. Again, sir, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for a great session. Thank you for a great topic. We love to have more session with you, sir, in future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me and sharing my thoughts with your esteemed colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
There is another information for all the participants that tomorrow we have a session. First in the morning 10 a.m. and in that time the resource person of that particular session is Dr. Thompson, and he's from USA. He's the professor in University of South Alabama. And in the second session, the Dr. Amit Putot. And the timing for that session is 1 o'clock. So I'll share the link one by one with you all. So you have join your session on time. Thank you so much for joining us for this International Faculty Development Program. Thank you so much.
One more thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every participant kindly send your research papers or abstract to us as soon as possible. Please, I request you all.
Like yesterday, I shared the message with you within the group. So if you have any doubts and any query related to that, so please ask us. And submit your research paper within a day or 2 days, because after that we will work on it and prepare the journal for that. So again, thank you so much for joining us for this International Faculty Development Program. Thank you, all the participants.